So, your God, Elon, and all these batteries and all this renewable energy bullshit you guys love so much. You know how much gasoline, you know how much fossil fuels it takes to make a fucking battery? Do you understand all the precious metals that go into these fucking batteries? Into these systems, into all your fucking technology? You know where that comes from? Slaves in Africa in the mines. All kinds of mines. All kinds of precious metal mines in Africa. Slaves. It's disgusting. Then they send the precious metals, where they say? Send it over to China, where they got slaves living in factories making this shit, where the conditions get so bad they have no hope for any kind of life. They jump out of the windows to kill themselves. They put bars on all the windows. You guys don't care. As long as you got your iPhone 87, you're fine. You don't care. You guys are sitting here virtue signaling, talking about, well, we're saving the planet with all your green energy horse shit. I mean, it's complete horse shit. You guys are so full of shit. You don't know anything. True knowledge is when you're testing and you can put your hands on, your eyes on something and test it yourself. You guys aren't doing that. You're reading books, you're watching podcasts, you're watching TV, you're listening, you're reading magazines, you're reading newspapers. You know, all your information, all the fucking media in the world, in the whole world. And this was as of a few years ago. It might even be less. But as of a few years ago, all the media in the world, all the media companies, all your media was owned by 10 major companies. Yeah, that was a few years ago. God knows, it's probably even less now. I'm sure they've centralized control on that shit. And I'm sure those major companies, they were, shaking hands behind each other anyways. There's probably only one company anyways, So all your information is coming from the same place. That's why you can turn on anywhere and get to hear the same fucking thing. All your information is coming from one place. You guys love this green energy shit and think you're saving the world and you're virtue signaling, when really the consumption of all these batteries is 10 times worse than just using straight gasoline. I mean, it's crazy. Y'all are nuts, man. You guys are worse than these religious people. I'm telling you, you scientific people and all you followers of there's a word for you fuckers besides idiots. But y'all are dangerous, man. Because that's what they're pushing right now. They're pushing all that shit. It's nothing but fear, guys. They just are constantly putting fear in you. That's all it is. It's just the constant pressure of fear. And they keep that on you. And they're generating your energy. It's just one fearful thing after another. I don't keep up with all this stuff, but I know they've had, in the past 3 years since this whole, virus thing started, they've had like so many other virus. I mean, they've had so many things I think that they've tried scaring the public with. I mean, it's unreal. It's like a constant threat of lockdowns now. That's what it is. They're fucking with everybody. It's a constant threat. They're just constantly got everybody in perpetual fear. And then you have some of these young kids who have just shut down, completely shut down, like my daughter. Kids who, yeah. And then you have other kids who are going the opposite direction. They're like, oh, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change the world. I can change the world. You're not going to change shit. You can't even change your own shit. Yeah, right. You're going to change the world, my asshole. The way you change the world is you heal yourself. Quit playing these fucking games. Quit going outside yourself. Confront the monster. You have to confront the monster. And if you're running around and you're worshiping all of these things outside of you, but you're saying, well, I'm healed, I'm good to go, man. I'm good. Oh. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're running around like a chicken with you're running around like you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. That's what you're doing. You run around like a chicken with your head cut off, because what you're doing is you're coming from a program. You're never going to figure anything out. Everything's going to be confusing, and anything you come up with is going to be just in vanity. It's going to be complete vanity. It's cognitive dissonance, guys. It goes back to cognitive dissonance. They have put you in so many stressful situations but you have to keep going, right? You got to keep living, and everybody else around you keeps going. So you go, well, I guess this is normal, but it's not normal. So what's happening is everybody is having a natural reaction to an unnatural environment. You guys have to understand that. What is going on, everything, all this sickness, all this shit that's going on, all this confusion, all of this, all these people who quit working, all this shit. This is a natural reaction to an unnatural environment. Your environment has been created purposefully. All of what is going on right now in society is on purpose. And it's to confuse and distract you and put you in a perpetual state of fear. You need nothing outside yourself. Think about this. 3 years after that whole thing went down, if you hadn't paid attention to anything they said, think of how different your life would have been now. If you were able to just continue, if you had the option to just continue your life and say, I'm not going to play that game, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. Think how different, but you didn't have that option. Most people didn't feel like they had. I didn't give a fuck. I got any option I want. Me and my son were like, well, fuck you guys. Yeah, you don't tell me what my options are. Bullshit. But for those of you who recognize authority, and your authority told you had to go in your home and hide, if you felt like you had an option at that moment and you had chosen to just ignore the whole thing, how different would your life have been now? All the fear mongering you would have saved, all the scared times you would have saved yourself, all the emotional distress. Just things to think about, man. I'm just letting you know that I'm trying to show you how they're manipulating you. They're manipulating your whole environment. You're not living your own life. You have the illusion of free will, guys. This is not free will. You have the illusion of free will. You are being given a very tight parameter that you can walk in for your options, and that's it. Although you got all these options over here, what they're telling you and what they're putting you in is a fucking very narrow line of options, and they're saying, well, this is what you get to choose. And you're going, well, what about, and don't look at me. And that's what you guys do. You guys just go, oh, well, I guess I'll take that one. You guys are extremely narrow-minded. You're very dangerous. Most of you are young and born on AI, most likely. Most of you don't have any real-world experience. Think about that. Most of you need to humble yourselves. Most of you are walking around with an ego so fucking big and you haven't done a fucking thing in your life. You don't have zero experience. You're walking around like a biggest fuck. You're dangerous. And you're looking for a savior outside yourself. You know how dangerous you are? You might as well be in a gang. That's a gang member. That's a cult member. You need to break free from these chains. You need to quit playing these games because they don't end. They'll keep you locked in these games for as long as they can, guys. That 5G is no joke. Why when the day lockdowns happen? Why? Enforce everywhere, putting this stuff up. Why? You guys don't care. Why'd they lock you down? How did the whole world lock down at the same time? How did that even happen? How did something like that even happen? Without something at the very top that is dictating down exactly what everybody's going to do. That's the only way that happens. The only way. And if you think otherwise, it's because you're coming from a program that they laid for you and you're just believing a bunch of horseshit. You're stupid. You're an idiot. You're just memorizing facts and bullshit that people hand to you. You're dangerous. You need to stop. The only way that kind of coordination happens is something being at the very top and directing down. That is not a bottom-up approach. That is not coming from, this president calling this president saying, hey, well, I think we should lock this down. And I don't know. I need to listen. I want to talk to my expert. No, lock and step, guys. This shit came from up top and came down. This was the power move. This was the main power move to cause the cognitive dissonance, to set the stage for what they're doing next. Now, this was the move. Because now everybody in the world, everybody in the world who's still operating and think that this has, there's any reality to any of this, and there's any pure organic to any of this, and that you can get in the system and fix or vote your way or do anything, that you're going to fix anything? You are so deluded. You have cognitive dissonance. They did this on purpose. This was a mass experiment this was a crime against humanity. And you guys aren't understanding. Until you come to terms with that, everything else that you talk about is useless. It's useless vanity. And it's coming from a point of severe cognitive dissonance. And any of you who are defending in any way any of their actions are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. These are severe mental defects, guys. Takes severe mental gymnastics in order to be able, many splits in your mind in order to be able to deal with these things. Dissociative identity disorder. The names go on. They've changed the names of it. Before dissociative identity disorder, I can't remember. But yeah, they're different names, but it's all the same thing. That's what the CIA uses for mind control. That's what all these governments, that's what they use for their mind control. They put you in a position as a group where it challenges your morals or ethics, and then they throw the scenario out there, but then they make you go forward and not address the scenario and just keep on going forward as if the scenario was just, okay, well, it's just part. And what it does, it creates cognitive dissonance. It makes you split in order to deal with things. And it causes a war inside yourself. And most people can't deal with that war inside themselves. Instead of facing it and healing and coming to terms with why they even have it and why they're warring with themselves, they want to look outside and say, oh, it's the brown guy's fault. Oh, it's the poor guy's fault. Oh, it's the guy who doesn't believe in the same religion as me. Oh, it's the guy with a different government as me's fault. And that's what they get you to do. Do you see what I'm saying? Is any of this making sense? Because if it's not, you are so programmed. If this is not making sense, you need to do a serious study and sit with yourself about this cognitive dissonance and about Stockholm Syndrome and what it is, how it works, and how it's played out on humanity when they did this. Because that's what they did. It was a crime against humanity. And they did it on purpose, and it shocked everybody. Everybody was shocked. That's hence the reason most people hid in their homes. Those with balls and who saw through this shit a long fucking time ago and had their finger up to authority long times before that went to work the next day. And it was those of us who noticed and saw the discrepancies in what was going on. It was those of us who worked in construction and wore masks and who understand that drywall dust particles, huge drywall dust particles, get in through those mask filters. More or less a particle that's 10,000 times smaller. Plus the fact that taking your mask on and off and all the germs that get... I mean, it was ridiculous. I couldn't believe you idiots fell for any of it. The amount of cognitive dissonance and how much it fucked with my head that you idiots fell for this shit. I couldn't believe I was surrounded by everybody who wanted to defend this shit. You guys make me sick. You need to wake up and start thinking for yourself and using your own common sense. These goddamn governments turn their own militaries. They're killed. People died because of this. Many people. The amount of people who died over this shit, the lockdowns and the muzzle wearing, is uncountable. It's uncountable, the amount of lives that were lost. And if you know anything about viruses, you will know that something is very sketch here. And then you understand what frequencies do. And then you start putting things together and you'll be like, wait a minute. Something else is going on here. These motherfuckers talking about everything. I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about on your all's mainstream horse shit. Knowledge centers. Filth, smut centers. Programming, indoctrination centers you guys get all your information from. But I'm sure they're not saying anything about frequencies. I'm sure it's all about the shots and the viruses and monkeys and balloons and UFOs. Nothing about frequencies, is there? Is there? What do magicians do? They wave this hand and get your fucking attention over here while they fucking pull the trick off over here. You guys are so ignorant, man. I'm just going to stop there. I mean, I can just keep on going. Like, I just don't understand. Like, what does it take, guys? What does it take? You guys, that's what I'm saying. There's no talking to you. If you can't come to the terms with the fact that your government locked you down for 2 years, put a muzzle on you, and try to force poison into your veins, did every psychological trick in the book to force poison into your veins, threatened you with arrest, threatened you with all kinds of psychological and physical torture if you didn't wear a fucking muzzle, if you didn't stand 6 feet apart, if you didn't do all this shit. This is Nazi Germany all over again. It's the same fucking thing, guys. It's the same goddamn thing. It's government control. It's one group controlling another group. And I haven't even gotten into what about the money that went in all to these medical supplies? What about all these empty hospitals during this time? All these nurses, taking hours and days learning all these fucking dance moves and becoming heroes. And none of these cocksucking nurses and doctors saying a goddamn word about these empty hospitals, were they? Were they? About how people coming in with the flu. Just the flu. Oh my God. Okay, don't get me started. I'm not going to get started. But yeah, guys. That's what they're doing. They're shaking the hand over here. Telling you all about the UFO wars we're getting ready to get into. Telling you all about Russia and we're going to go to war with them. Telling you about nuclear war. Telling you about fucking the virus. Telling you about this. Telling you about the Earth. Telling you about space. Telling you about Mars. Ain't one motherfucker mentioning goddamn frequencies to you, is there? Y'all better start fucking thinking. You are pathetic. You're pathetic. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Playing this game. I don't care what you're following, any program, religious, government, science, any of it.